Welcome back. Before diving into this segment, I highly recommend watching the previous parts of the story. If you haven't, simply click the card above and catch up. For those who have already watched, please continue on with me as I move deeper into the story. A link to the playlist can also be found in the video description. With that, let's move into the story. Previously, the story ended with the protagonist, Roman, easily defeating the vice captain of the Knights. As the story unfolds, two knights are discussing Chris, who has been appointed as one of the deputy commanders of the Knights. Captain Jonathan and his newly appointed apprentice, Chris, are training with swords and discussing how, even at a young age, Chris was able to achieve the title of a 2-star Aura Knight and develop his Mana Core after only 6 months of training his body. The two knights also talk about how Chris became a 1-star in just a short period of 3 years and is a prodigy with great sword skills. Captain Jonathan, noticing Chris's fatigue, tries to stop the training. But Chris, determined, asks for Captain to train him again, showcasing his never-give-up attitude. Captain Jonathan praises Chris's abilities as a prodigy, but also notes his work ethic in describing Chris as a genius. Later in the story, Chris is defeated in battle against Roman Dimitri, leaving everyone in shock as to how a prodigy like Chris could be defeated by someone like Roman. However, what they don't know is that Roman is now a Giga Chad with demon powers. Chris, in pain, asks for Captain Jonathan's help. King Romero Dimitri, Roman's father, questions Captain Jonathan about his belief in Chris, his great 2-star young prodigy, and how he could be defeated so easily. Captain Jonathan is flustered and impressed by Roman's sword skills, questioning how someone could be so talented after only training for 2 years, whereas it seems to him that Roman has been secretly training for an eternity. He describes Roman as a genius at sword skills to King Romero Dimitri, regaining his belief in Roman Dimitri. Captain Jonathan states that Roman encountered all of his opponent's attacks with ease and was sharply focused on defeating them. This made Captain Jonathan fully believe in Roman's capabilities of defeating the vicious Blood of Fangs all by himself. Roman describes Chris's abilities as a great swordsman in Jonathan's point of view, but compared to himself, Chris's standard of fighting is at the lowest level. Roman then brutally damages Chris, comparing him to be weaker than the weakest in the Order of Demons. However, Chris's special power at the end fascinated Roman, making him curious about the powers in this world. On the other hand, his father, Romero Dimitri, is proud of his eldest son and describes him as a genius at sword skills. King Romero Dimitri calls Roman and tells him that his thinking about his future and accomplishing something for his own betterment made his father happy and proud. Romero Dimitri wants to give his son a reward befitting for Roman's accomplishments as a genius swordsman. Roman, taking advantage of this moment, asks his father to send him to war in the next 6 months. Romero asks him if he wants to get enlisted out of the war, but Roman denies it and tells his father to give him the authority to select his own team for the upcoming wars. Romero, shocked at his request, tells him to think about it again calmly. But Roman, being our determined protagonist, tells him that he will be going all by himself. Hearing this, King Romero declares that no one will interfere in his decisions. Roman asks for one more thing from his father, and due to his sudden growth, King Romero allows him to ask for anything. The clever demon inside of Roman asks to let Chris teach him the skill called Aura. Soon, Chris is talking with Captain Jonathan about how shameful he feels for losing against Roman, even after using the Aura. Captain Jonathan states that, even though he wants to decline the request, he cannot, but he can give him an offer. He wants Chris to teach him the Aura technique and keep an eye on Roman's sudden transformation from being a poor swordsman to a great one. The captain tells Chris that if he successfully completes his task, he will reveal all of his secrets to him. Chris is skeptical, unable to believe that the captain would reveal the secret of becoming a 3-star Aura Knight so easily. However, he ultimately agrees to teach Roman the Aura technique if the captain truly keeps his word. Meanwhile, Roman's servant, Hans, is praising him for defeating the deputy commander of Knights in a sword fight, despite him only being a 2-star Aura Knight. Roman, unaware of what an aura is, asks Hans about it. Hans tells him that he has no clue, but suggests that it might be related to mana. Roman recognizes that the power of aura that Chris showed him in their fight is similar to the eruptions of energy that exist in their demon world. However, the way it is used in this world is different and inefficient, which confuses Roman. Roman smirked to himself, contemplating the fact that the inhabitants of this world had yet to discover the full potential of the mana power that resided within them. The following morning, Roman and Chris, both knights, began their aura training session together. It was evident that neither of them were particularly thrilled about the prospect of working with one another. Chris, despite his own internal turmoil, mustered the composure to begin the lesson by explaining the basics of aura to Roman. He explained that aura is a technique derived from mana power that develops within a knight. Magicians harness their mana to store magical powers in their circlets, while knights harness mana to strengthen their entire body with its immense power. He describes the historical origins of the aura technique, which was first developed by a man named Emperor Alexandro. Alexandro was the first person to understand that by storing mana throughout one's body, it could help to strengthen the entire body. Chris further explains that aura is simply a technique for harnessing the power of mana and expelling it outwards, causing a surge in one's abilities. He informs Roman that only a small number of individuals are able to develop the ability to sense mana within their body, and that it is extremely rare for someone to have this ability, as only one in thousands of those chosen as Aura Knights possess the capability to sense and control mana. Chris makes it clear to Roman that before learning anything about the power of mana, the first and most important step is to develop the ability to sense mana, which is a prerequisite for any further training. He taunts Roman by saying that it took him only 6 months to develop this ability, and that it may take Roman years to achieve the same level of mastery. Roman, not wasting any time, interrupts Chris and reveals that he already knows how to sense mana. Chris contemplates that it will not be an effortless task for someone like Roman, who has been perceived as intellectually lacking, to accomplish both winning a match and mastering the art of sensing mana. Nevertheless, Roman starts to cultivate his ability to sense mana with his heavenly demon powers, which he is already well acquainted with. Roman is resolved to comprehend the power of mana within himself in an honest and fair manner, as it is done by the inhabitants of this world. Chris imparts to him that the key to sensing mana is to focus on the rhythm of one's breath and concentrate on a single point in the body. He guides Roman that by doing so, he will be able to learn about the aura technique and, if successful, become a 1-star aura knight. As Chris is explaining the various ways in which aura can be manifested in weapons and the body to Roman, he is taken aback when he sees Roman generating a substantial amount of aura while boasting about his knowledge of mana. Roman ponders over the shortcomings of the usage of Kai in the present world, as compared to its utilization in his Murim world. In his Murim world, Kai was employed to eliminate impurities from within the body, whereas in this world, it is employed for different purposes. Roman perceives the Kai of the Murim world as raw power with a stronger sense, whereas the mana of this world is refined power with a lighter sense, which is why he finds it effortless to generate mana. Roman understands that the way the people of this world unleash the stored mana within them to attain immense power is highly inefficient for the body. Furthermore, Chris, being astounded by Roman's ease in manifesting aura, inquires about it. Chris becomes increasingly frustrated as it took him years to manifest mana and questions Roman about his secret and the truth he knows about mana manifestation. Chris becomes overwhelmed with questions about Roman's identity and the truthfulness of his claims, unable to fathom that Roman accomplished everything in mere seconds, while it took Chris a decade to achieve the same. Roman chuckles and tells Chris that the training methods he used for manifesting mana were incorrect. He explains to Chris that old-fashioned ways are not always the correct approach. Being a Giga Chad, Roman gives another fact check to Chris, who was always fixated on his goals and never doubted the training methods, and his unwavering belief in Captain Jonathan. Roman does not blame him for following the methods and putting in hard work, but not questioning the methods is a foolish thing as it is not smart work. Roman reminisces on his past life and compares it to the criticism he received from his father and others. Believing in Roman's facts, Chris requests him to reveal the secret behind achieving mana manifestation in a short period of time. The scene then shifts to a war where Beak, the heavenly demon, has defeated a certain man who is kneeling on the ground. As Beak asks for his retaliation, the person denies and admits his defeat. He has never seen such a strong personality with such strong Kai ever before. The person, like Chris, asks Beak the secret to becoming stronger like him. This rekindles memories of deja vu in Roman's mind as he compares that guy to the present world's Chris, who is also doing the same. This excites the heavenly demon or our protagonist Chad Roman Dimitri, who finds it intriguing, and the story continues. And with that, I will end this recap video. If you enjoyed this recap of the manhwa and are excited for the next chapter, don't forget to comment down the word Chad Roman so I know to bring you part 4 of this series. Before I sign off, I want to remind you to like and subscribe to the Manhwa Station for more exciting content like this. Your support means the world to me and I can't wait to bring you more amazing recaps and analysis in the next video. Thank you for watching and I'll see you soon.